Hello, everybody. It is day 272 of the 15-day lockdown to stop the spread. Day 270 fucking 2. Well, I haven't made a video in a while, so I kind of figured this would be a great topic. Why I'm not taking the vaccine. And yeah, there's scientific reasons, and there are other reasons which kind of overpower that too. So before anybody wants to say no science, and just ninny like they actually are following the science. Science is an ongoing thing, and as your hypothesis doesn't work out, you're generally required to change your approach to things. So I've included in the description links to science, actual science, not just some NPR article you can read to feel like you're smart, or something that mainstream media just put out so you can read it and pretend you know everything, which we don't. So I'm also going to note, by the way, there's kind of a disturbing pattern going on with social media, and please share this because you may not get to watch it. It may be taken down. So basically, the trend is YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. What they do is anything that would possibly reduce fear or encourage actual discussion, they'll just take it down. That seems to be where we're going here, and it's kind of a, it's a 2020 thing. So other than that, and that out of the way, why would I not take this vaccine? By the way, it's really cool. This is the first vaccine that is messenger RNA based, not attenuated virus based. So the awesome part is the way it works, which I think is pretty cool. I think they knocked it out of the park on that one. It's ingenious, but it's got its own design problems. I think realistically, a major reason why it probably might not work as well as they would hope is because you have to keep it so cold, you have to ship it for so long, and the reason is that they have to keep it as cool as they do is because the messenger RNA is concealed in a lipid envelope, and of course when you don't have those cold temperatures, the lipid envelope breaks down, and then by extension the messenger RNA breaks down. But I just wanted to point out there that, hey, I give credit where it's due. It's pretty ingenious. It's awesome. Dig into it. It's pretty fascinating. It's not all, scary, bad juju. And unlike people looking at COVID-19 or, conspiracy theories or whatever, the truth is actually a lot cooler than fiction in a lot of ways, and positively. So I do give credit for the design. On the other hand, I'm kind of looking around. I don't have an ingredients list, and I gotta say the problem we've historically had with bad vaccines, and let me just get this straight with everybody, I'm not opposed to vaccines, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, let's just get that out of the way. I'm for safe vaccines, okay? So for years we had this thing called thimerosal in a lot of vaccines, and a lot of people were getting hurt and damaged over it. I mean, of course, thimerosal is mercury. I mean, that's just, come on. You can, even if you have to pay more for a vaccine, just make it safe, design something better. But it's crazy. You point out stuff like that, and people say, oh, you're just anti-vax because you're against those ingredients. I mean, and my response is, that's kind of like saying I'm anti-car because I don't want to drive in a car without airbags or seatbelts. I mean, it's easy to dismiss things out of hand like that, but life doesn't work that way. So you gotta. I want to know where the airbags are in this, and I can't quite get a feel for it. The one thing that is we do know is we have not actually done a test. I don't even think we've tried to design a test to figure out if this is actually going to change anyone's health outcome. We do know there are a ton of things that will change people's health outcome, like vitamin D, for example, ivermectin, for example, not being heavily morbidly stupid obese, for example, trying to regulate your blood sugar by changing your lifestyle, for example. So it's almost like we just said, fuck all that. We're not even going to try. We're just going to run right to a vaccine. So the problem that I have is we don't even know if this is going to change any health outcomes. And we spent a lot of money doing it. And, we don't even know. I mean, that includes, by the way, it could make things better, could actually make it worse. So we're rolling the dice here. And I don't like that. And I really don't want to go along with it. So as far as, like, my particular situation, we do know blood types matter. I'm AB positive. If you're blood type A, you're fucked. I mean, that's the wrong blood type to have when you get COVID. Not that there's a best blood type or anything, but we do know if your blood type is A and you get COVID, it just kind of, things are usually worse for you than anybody else of other blood types. So, of course, one of the things I've been doing is, which you should do, is take more vitamin D. That obviously has, shown that it works. So, I mean, I'm doing the things that I should be doing to, make my outcome better. And you can say what you want about masks, and I'm going to get to that. I mean, there's got to be something here about masks, and it's not what you're going to expect. So just be patient. We'll get to it. So the first people that are going to get this thing, it's going to be healthcare workers. It's going to be people in long-term care facilities, prisons, and whatnot. Basically where it's spreading. So by the time all these people get this vaccine, we're probably going to, if it works, we're going to see the numbers go down anyway. So by the time it gets to somebody like me, I'm probably not going to need it. So the thing you have to bear in mind with any elective procedure like a vaccine is there is a risk. There's a risk things could go wrong. And that's just medical procedures like vaccines. So you have to understand, am I taking an unnecessary risk here? Like, for example, I wouldn't go out and say, give me the Ebola vaccine. Why would I need it? I mean, it's not like you have an Ebola outbreak in the United States. Or why, would I not get the vaccine for, bubonic plague? I mean, maybe if I was going to, Madagascar, where they actually do have a seasonal recurrence of bubonic plague. Of course, if you dig up dead relatives and neighbors, that generally is how that happens. So I'm not going to run out and get every vaccine under the sun just because I can. I mean, it's a risk I don't necessarily need to assume. And I don't think anybody should either, if they're not at risk. So my big problem when it comes to this vaccine is, first of all, how the hell are we going to measure that if it works? We can't seem to get this out of our head, that like, a positive PCR is automatically everything. Again, look at the sources in the description. The problem with running PCR tests over 25 cycles is you're not going to detect anything that's viable. And it's going to be more likely than not a false positive the more cycles you run. So in other words, we're already getting people isolated for no goddamn good reason just because we have a false positive. And you have to bear in mind with the PCR tests, they're a diagnostic tool, okay? So what typically happens, or actually what happened before we lost our shit, was you'd go into a doctor's office, you'd say, gee, doc, I have a headache or chills, a fever, I've got this bad cough. What do you think it could be? And so the doctor would do a whole bunch of things. He'll say, open your mouth and say, ah. He'll look at your tonsils. He'll check your ears. He'll, look on up your nose with that scope and be like, okay, it seems to be like an upper respiratory infection or whatever. And then, if he needs a test, he'll order a test, like a PCR test for whatever, or he'll draw blood. And then, based on all these observations, he'll put everything together and go, ah, you have disease A or B or whatever it is. Because a disease is a constellation of symptoms that, are caused by a particular pathogen. So in other words, you could test positive for like anything. A lot of people actually test positive for HIV. That doesn't mean they have AIDS. Like, just as an example, it happens all the time. And of course, with a PCR test, you're not testing whether, you have a quantitative amount that's going to mean you have SARS-CoV, your SARS-CoV-2 is manifested into COVID-19. It's going to be like, is it in your body or is it not? Whether it's like 1/10,000th of what you would need to actually get COVID-19, or whether it's like the full deal and you're going to get the cytokine storm and you're going to have a vent down your throat in the whole 9 yards. So that's kind of a problem. So the metrics by which we're going to measure whether this vaccine works or not are bullshit. So realistically, we won't know. But I will tell you, and I'm sure you've all seen the memes out there, is 10 years from now, you're probably going to see those television ads. Did you take the COVID-19 vaccine and were you injured? You might be entitled to compensation. So that's pretty much where we're going. So as far as the way we've been treated, look, if they said mask up on day one, I would have fucking done it. I would have been like, give me the nearest mask. They could have said, make a mask out of fucking toilet paper. I would have done it. But the problem is, they came out and they said, don't do it. You're going to spread COVID that way. And that was the first thing, that they, among the other major first things that they screwed up. There is a link in the description, by the way. And this isn't new. This is just reconfirmed because we have to learn this over and over again. COVID-19 was here. It was here last year. It was here before all the hysteria went around. I'm pretty damn sure I had it. I know my kids did. I know a ton of people did. It's not fun, but it ain't zombies for everybody. I know everybody's got a different health situation, but I didn't turn into a fucking zombie. And I know my kids didn't. And actually, children are one of the lowest risk groups at all. So that was kind of just the first one. Then there was the second whole 15 days to stop the spread. I'm not going to let you forget about that, and neither should you let you forget about it. And you shouldn't let anybody else forget about it either, because this was the first major goalpost that just kept moving. Okay? And we had another problem when the test rolled out. We've had so many of these errors that were easy to fix. For example, we just had a Senate hearing last week, which doctors were just begging. They weren't even saying, just take my word for it. They were saying, please, NIH, review our data. We've proven we can save lives through inexpensive means with off-the-shelf stuff we have. We've got to treat people before they get into the hospital. That keeps them out of the hospital. So we're doing everything we can to make this worse. Okay? So in addition to that, we had the whole testing fiasco. It turns out there were 3 different reagents that went out with the first test that they sent out in February and March. And the fix was, don't use the 3rd reagent. That's it. The test would have worked fine without using that 3rd one. But we didn't do it. Because of the way things are, or because of whatever, we have to, for some reason, want or need the most disastrous PR pants outcome we can possibly get. So that kind of goes into the whole masturbation thing. And I'm not sorry, but the data is in front of you. And it's your own government collected data. I mean, this isn't Dan Real went out and did a study, or this isn't, somebody who's against these lockdowns went out and did a study. This is the people who are telling us to masturbate collecting this data. And their data's saying masks aren't working. That's what it's saying. And, this says, like, Joe Biden, like, he's like, I'm going to have Americans wear masks for 100 days. Haven't we been doing that for, over 200? I mean, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm kind of one of the willful not compliers, and when I go out, I'll wear the executive performance safetyism face cape to mock everybody who believes in this. But come on, you've got compliance well over 90% in Connecticut. I mean, it's astounding what the governor says jump, you say how high. The guy could say wear a can of creamed corn in your pants. And then that wouldn't work. And he'll say, if you just do it a little longer, if you could just be a little absurd with me another week or 10 days or another 500 fucking days. So that's not going away. So if I take the shot You all take the shot. They've already said we're not going to drop it. We're going to continue masturbating. We're going to continue doing this. And it's not going to have an effect, and we're not going to give a shit. And the lockdowns. By the way, that's still going to be a thing. So the bottom line with the lockdowns is, I mean, look, if you told me a year ago that the government would lose its shit and everybody would lose their shit and we would have sector rules and people would be essential and not be essential and package stores were essential but church was bad and religious singing was horrible. I mean, if you told me that, like, I am a hardcore libertarian, okay? I would have been like, you're crazy. I don't know what kind of acid you're doing, but that's some pretty dangerous stuff, whatever it is you're taking, because that's cuckoo. No one would ever possibly let the government get away with that. And it happened. So, we've got this shot, which they're saying is 90% effective, and they're still not going to leave you alone. And they're still not going to stop screwing your life up. I mean, these lockdowns, you've got, I mean, polio. Polio killed kids. Killed kids left and right. Never shut the economy down for that. Never locked everyone down for that. Never screwed everyone up. We never suspended habeas corpus over that. But you got a disease that every grandma over 80 is reasonably terrified, like, oh, gotta shut it down. Shut everything down. These lockdowns hurt people like me. They hurt my children. They hurt everybody who is not, in a really bad health condition. Pointlessly. I mean, there's no gain. I mean, there's just a ton of lost life years here. We're screwing kids up. We're screwing them up bad. And this shot is not going to end that. No. I'm not going to take the fucking shot. I'm not going to do it. Neither should you. I mean, if this is the deal, I would say, look, I'll take the shot. You leave me alone. No more of this closures and special sector rules and, some people are more equal than others. If that was the deal, if we all just lined up and took the shot, I would object morally, but I'd take the damn shot. I'd take the damn shot if it wasn't being lied to the whole fucking time. I'm sure you would too. And I'm sorry. They did admit that. They did come out and they said, well, we lied about the mask thing at first because we didn't want everyone to go out and buy masks. And that's the thing about public health. It's based on trust. You got to be up front. I mean, people were up front like World War II, I mean, it's not like Japan bombed Pearl Harbor and we're like, everyone gets a check, it's going to be all peachy keen and, nobody has to do anything. I mean, the government's like, look, we all got to roll up our sleeves. We got some ass kicking to do. We got to get to work. And you know what? People did it, because the government was straight up with them. Not anymore. If they're not going to be straight up with us, kind of like the war in Iraq. You remember that? In Afghanistan? They said it's only going to cost $83 billion. Yeah, that was their initial price tag. We'll be home in 6 months. 20 fucking years. And if that is the kind of bullshit that has laid the foundation for this, it's the war in Iraq. I don't think 50 years of sector rules is out of the question. Well, that's why I'm not going to take the fucking shot. And you shouldn't either. And tell Lamont to go fuck himself. If you don't, well, hey, I wish I had something better to say, but, and I think in the end, I don't think the vaccine would be all that dangerous to me, but, well, there was a point I would have taken it. There was a point I would have happily put on the mask. There's a point I would have happily done a lot of things. But I'm not going to get kicked in the head, and neither should you. Pointlessly, by the way, with no end in sight. So you want 20 years of Iraq and Afghanistan, and you can have 50 years of fucking sector rules. So grow a pair, extend the middle finger, your future ain't gonna happen unless you do it. Otherwise, hope you're well. Hope you're getting exercise and doing things to make yourself healthier. And I will talk to you soon.